Hello and welcome along to Mondo Chelloveck Movies. My name is John and I apologise for the late. I'm filming this at night. It's the only time I can get to film this video. And today's video is going to be my top 10 4Ks of the band Video Nasties. Now it's great to see that these band Video Nasties are coming out kind of fast and furious. I hope by this time next year there's going to be a lot more than there is on this list. So I've looked into this and I think there is now 25 that were released in 4K of the band horror movies from section 1, 2 and 3. I could be wrong, so please let us know down below in the comments if I've got missed any out. And also, with a big shout out to my good friend Andy Essex, there's going to be a first on this channel. I'm actually going to remove the shrink wrap from one of these titles. Can't believe it. But you heard it here first, it's got to come off, and I'll show you why in a minute. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the top 10. So in reverse order, at number 10 is House on the Edge of the Park. Now this is a section 1 video nasty and it's released by 88, and you know they've had a bit problems with this. They didn't put out the right scope and they've done something else to it, I think, the sound. But this is the complete version, the one you will get in the shops now. Hopefully you'll get it with a slipcover. Now this is in the Italian Classics collection, and it's an I mean, all of these are good, but some of them are really good. But what you've got to remember with these 4Ks in the band Video Nasties, some of the elements that they've got for these ones aren't the best elements. They're not going to be stored in the right places. Sometimes they've got things missing with them. Sometimes they're quite grainy, and sometimes they were shot on a really low film stock. This can't be helped. It's inherent in the picture. But don't think that I'm comparing these to any of the Top Gun Mavericks out there. This is going to be, or the Tenets. This is going to be. You've got to remember. You've got to put your video nasty hat on, and just think they are what they are. But for what they are miles better than what they used to be on VHS. I'm going to liken these to the VHS qualities that I saw, and to be honest, most of these look pretty trash on like bootlegs when you used to see them. It was the only way to see them. And this one especially, well, all of them actually used to look horrendous when you used to see them in the band Video Nasties bootleg cut. But anyway, we're past that now. We're in the 4K spectrum. And some of these movies do lend really well to the 4K. And the fact that I've got these movies in my hand and I'm talking about them still makes me feel a bit sort of, is this really happening? Because of the fact that these movies were just really forgotten about for a long time and also banned. And then they came out. Now you can readily go into HMV and pick up something fully uncut. That is just incredible to see. And this one has got a great picture quality. I would say that that's definitely, these all look the best they've ever looked. I mean, some of them aren't what you would class as the best looking movies of all time. I mean, this isn't like really like a picturesque like movie. You've got to take into consideration that most of these movies are shot in a low budget with low sort of finances, so they weren't meant to look that good. They were kind of cheap exploitational flicks. But for some reason, when they're being put onto 4K, it just shows you there's something about these movies. They do look quite spectacular for what they are, and I can't recommend these 10 highly enough. Also, I'll talk, like I say at the end of this video, I'll talk about all of them, and I'll just show you and go through what they've got and the ones I haven't got. Actually, the ones I haven't got could have found their way into the top 10 from what I can see. But anyway, at number 10 is House on the Edge of the Park. At number 9 is a section 2 nasty, Zombie Creeping Flesh. Here it's called Hell of the Living Dead. This movie is, as much as House on the Edge of the Park was really nasty, this has elements of like sort of, obviously it's a video nasty, it's going to have some elements of like wow in it. But this is so funny. It's like the biggest Dawn of the Dead rip-off you will ever see. It's actually just pinches the music straight off it, and it's just half a minute. This is from '88, and as well as House on the Edge of the Park, it had its problems when it was first released. I know they put out the replacement disc for it because obviously they got the blood wrong on this, and I think added some kind of Dolby Atmos to it and Dolby Vision stuff like that to it. So this movie does look spectacular. It's funny to see something so low budget and so trashy. It actually looks fantastic in the 4K. You have got loads of stock footage in here of like tribes and stuff like that, which takes the quality right down because that's just taken from God knows where. But when you see the actual, like the picture quality on here, it's really nice because most of it takes place in the jungle. And it's more like a cannibal film, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's got zombies in it. It's got everything you could want. If you want zombies, cannibals, and you want to laugh a minute, this is the one for you. So at number 9, that's Zombie Creeping Flesh. So speaking of flesh, at number 8 is a Section 1 video nasty, Flesh for Frankenstein. This is, well, it's a comedy basically. Yes, it's got gore in it. It's got quite a lot of gore in it. Got quite a lot of just amazing scenes. This is Vinegar Syndrome. This is an absolutely brilliant presentation of this movie, and they did a great job with it. In the 4K, it did. This is another one that had elements. It had the wrong elements on it. Actually, the picture quality in here, the color in it was just all over the place. So I had the replacement disc put in here of my good friend John Hall. He went and sourced them all for me. So this is the complete package with all the replacement discs in here, and it looks absolutely brilliant. This movie was shot, like I say, with a inept filmmaker and inept actors to a certain extent. The script is absolutely ludicrous, but there's a certain type of charm about this movie you couldn't get. If someone tried to make this in reality as like the biggest, stupidest, daftest film you could make, it wouldn't have worked. But because somebody was actually doing this for real and they thought they were making something great and that they weren't, they made something awful. But that's the reason why people like this. They like this movie, and this is the type of movie that would have fitted into my recent Scala video, which I put down below, which is doing really well. Getting some great comments on there. I want to thank everybody who's commenting on it. It's absolutely brilliant to hear your stories of the Scala. This was a favourite of the Scala. Actually, to be honest, most of these ones here I'm going to talk about were probably shown in the Scala cinema. I would imagine there's not one of them that hasn't been. And that's a testament to the people who run the Scala and what the vision they had for that cinema. But this movie is so good. It's just absolutely brilliant. And like I say, the elements on here, they're quite good actually. This is shot in 3D as well in parts, and it doesn't really show on this on the picture because sometimes when they're shot in 3D, like Friday the 13th Part 3, it just doesn't lend well to getting shot like presented in anything bar 3D. But this one works really well. And I think Vinegar Syndrome, as always, have done an excellent job in here. And I would like to see them tackle more video nasties on 4K. So at number 8, that's Flesh for Frankenstein. At number 7 is a Section 1 video nasty, House by the Cemetery. This is a spectacular release. Now these ones are great. These ones are starting to get into that next level. Now, when you know about these movies and you've seen them in the most atrocious fashion on a bootleg VHS, and actually sometimes the pre-sales were just as bad, they were absolutely manky. Some of them, you can just really appreciate these much more. And you see these obviously with the HDR in it. When you've got dark movies, and this one's a really dark movie at certain places, it really comes to life, and the colours in these movies are just coming to life as well. So that's one of the other reasons why I do like to get these old movies that I've known for years and years are seen in the most atrocious quality, and these ones are now bought to the best quality available. I don't think these will ever go to 8K. I don't think 8K will ever exist. But I'm so glad that these are coming out in here because as a film collector, that's all you want. You want a movie that it just looks the best it can, and these ones certainly do. So at number 7, that's The House by the Cemetery. At number 6 is a Section 3 video nasty, Deep Red. This again, and what you're doing now, you're looking at some directors like Dario Argento, who just has that vision. Now, when that vision is shown in their utmost quality, you just can't believe it. Now, speaking of this, I mean, if you're looking at all this and you're looking at the 4Ks and you're thinking, wow, these are great 4Ks, but I prefer Blu-ray, do know that most of these, if not all of these, have been put out in another version. Actually, if you get these, you get the Blu-ray with them, and the Blu-ray has been given a 4K remaster. So all of these on Blu-ray would have a 4K remaster, and they would look spectacular. So seek out the latest version on Blu-ray, and you know you'll get some spectacular Blu-rays. If you think that the 4K is not your medium, do know that the Blu-rays will look equally as good on your system. It's just the 4Ks add that little bit more to it, especially color sharpness. But you can't really take away much from a 4K restoration on a Blu-ray. But this is my favorite Argento movie. It's just absolutely brilliant. And I knew that when this came out and it was done in the right way, which it was, I just knew this would look exceptional, and it does. And I think that with a person like Dario Argento was probably the best film director, filmmaker in the video nasties section. I think his movies were always a touch above because I just think he had that vision, like some people did, but he seemed to realize it a lot more. You could say that probably in the horror directors, I would say only John Carpenter tops him because John Carpenter's look is just there's nothing that comes near to that for me. But Dario Argento just has that that edge, which means that if you get his movies and remaster them in the best fashion, they will look spectacular. and this one does. So at number 6, that's deep red. So speaking of Dario Argento in a fashion, at number 5 is the Section 3 video nasty, Dawn of the Dead, or Zombies Dawn of the Dead. As you know, Dario Argento did do his cut on here, and his cut is featured on here. This is the second sight 4K box set, and this is just unreal. If you want to know what one of the best box sets on a video nasty is, look no further. This is utterly spectacular, and it needs to be because this movie is utterly spectacular. And they have done a great. All the cuts on here look good. So don't say what's the best looking cut. I mean, all look good. I think the regular cut, the sort of full length one, not the full length one, the sort of the uncut and theatrical cut, I think that's the best looking one for me. But they all look great, and I have a great time with them. Dario Argento's cuts is a brilliant cut as well. Takes out all the humour. But this, I just don't know. You know, when you pray for something to look good, and this took forever to come out. And when it came out, you thought, please God, let this be good because it deserves it. And thankfully to say, all these movies to me look the best that they could ever look. And with a few exceptions, I think they could be a little bit better. But for me, this is just the last end when it comes to Dawn of the Dead. So, you know, it's funny that this should be, you would think this would be higher, but the ones in front of it are just absolutely stunning. So do know that you're in for a treat if you ever go down the 4K medium on these banned video nasties, which did used to look like trash. So number 5, that's Dawn of the Dead. At number 4 is Section 1's Tenebrae, another Dario Argento masterpiece. This one did look quite poor on the original Blu-ray of from Arrow. And then they did a remastered version which looked quite good, but this one takes it to the level. This is like a brand new restoration. So if you get the Blu-ray of this, it looks absolutely great now. Because the first, stay away from the first one, the white box, because it is really poor. It's got this real sort of like mesh on the picture quality. It's just really odd. But this one here is just this film is such a well-made film. It's a giallo with an edge. It's got so many twists and turns. I just love it. And actually, me and the Deborah watched it recently, and she had a great time with it. Even though I said you've just watched the band video nasty on the Section 1, so she says, how could you? And I says, well, it wasn't that bad, was it? She says, well, no, it wasn't. Still good though. So yeah, so the picture quality on here is just, you know, when Dario Argento's involved, you're going to get something really good. I mean, the colours, the black levels on here are sensational. It's just for me, it's the best looking giallo I've ever seen on 4K. So for that, you've got to give it respect. So at number 4, that's Tenebrae. At number 3 is the Section 1 video nasty, Zombie, or Zombie Flesh Eaters. This movie, I mean, it's weird that I'm putting all these Section 1 video nasties, which were kind of like literally like banned from the country. And if you were walking down the street one of them, you could literally get put in prison. It was just ridiculous. And to think I'm sitting here with this, to look in this spectacular fashion, I really do hope that it comes out in the UK soon as a 4K. Arrow can do it in a big box. That would be great. I mean, this is great from Blue Underground. I cannot say too much about it. It's just absolutely sensational. And the remastered Blu-ray is equally as good. But yeah, this is just, I mean, it's my favorite horror film of all time. So I was so glad that Blue Underground were doing this. And when I saw the picture quality, I mean, even the Arrow Blu-ray looks good. But this one is just, I mean, the picture quality, the sharpness, the sound, and everything makes this amazing movie into a masterpiece for me. Remember, this is just my opinion. You might differ on your views of these ones. And this isn't, like I say, it's an absolutely beautiful 4K for me. But I do know what this used to look like on pre-cert, and the copy I had was absolutely atrocious. You could hardly see what was going on, but I did know it was a good movie. But to see it in this fashion is just, you know, this is like a dream come true. Actually, you know, when you sit there and you think, I would love to see actually what's happening in this picture quality, and you see something like this, knowing what you used to look and used to put up with, it just takes this sort of 4K medium on these band video nasties to another level and makes you appreciate them that much more from coming from that sort of end of the line. So at number 3, that's Zombie. At number 2 is a Section 3 band video nasty. Yes, it's The Thing. I know a lot of people just don't remember this being a video nasty, and it was, you know. It just shows you how mad it was when they take this respected director, John Carpenter, who makes, like I said before, he makes the best looking horror films you will ever see for me in the 80s. He has this look about him. Every time you saw a John Carpenter film, you saw some of these movies and you expect them to look a bit cheesy and ropey, and there's, special effects aren't that great, but there's a bit of love for them for that. You knew when you got John Carpenter involved, the picture quality and everything would just look absolutely pristine, and that was on the pre-cert. They were just a level above, a bit like Dario Argento. There was a tremendous filmmaker there, and it was just a testament to his filmmaking that these movies just looked incredible. And this, for me, just looked sensational. I thought the 4K on here was like just a cut above the Blu-ray. The Arrow Blu-ray still looks good, but this one just, it was just so good when I saw it. And it's one of those movies when you watch it and you think, oh, I can't wait to see this again because you're just so invested in the actual 4K picture. So number two, that's The Thing. So as great as all these 4Ks are, and I think they're just absolutely brilliant, and everyone I could watch, and I would have such a great time with them because, like I say, I just love the good picture quality, and I love the fact that I can see these now in this amazing quality, and I get like a double whammy of it. The film's great, and the presentation is great. The picture quality is sensational. But at number one, with a bullet, bet you can't guess what this is. It is Section 3 Video Nasty Suspiria. Of course it is. Now, I did say at the start of this video that I was going to remove a shrink wrap off one, and it's going to be this shrink wrap. Now, I've kept the shrink wrap on since I've got it. I must have had this quite a few years. I'm saying quite a few years, maybe 3 or 4 years. And it's been often on the shelf quite a few times. And it's done its job. The shrink wrap has kept this sleeve pristine. But at this time, I think it's starting to get baggy. It's starting to sag a bit. And like I say, my good friend Andy Essex hates shrink wrap on. He says it brings the quality down. And to be honest, when you get a shrink wrap that's like a really tight shrink wrap, which I'll show you, to me, I think that it just adds something to it. The fact that this is taken off and it's not starting to not bow there, but it's starting to get a little bit thingy. But for me, this really keeps this pristine on the shelves. I just like the way they look and all that. And for me, it's a bit like vinyl. I keep my shrink wrap on the vinyl if I can. But there comes a time, and this is probably the first one where I thought I need to get this taken off because I want to make it look better. Now, you might say, well, it's got no protection on, but my good friend Dave Ramsden with this is going to go into there. So that's going to be protecting. But I will take this off. But first, I will say that everyone knows that this one is just the colours, the sound, and everything. I love this film. And it's Dario Argento, of course. Like I say, he's one of the best filmmakers and visual filmmakers that is out there, especially with horror films. And if you like the look of a horror film to look spectacular, look no further. But the remaster they've got in here, I think they spent up to a year, Synapse, they went about a year to try and get this correct, and they did. In this one, there was a UK 4K, or was it in the UK? And there was another 4K from Cult Epics, which I think I had, and it was okay. It wasn't that bad. But this one is just. Honestly, I can't speak highly enough about this. So when I started thinking about this video a couple of weeks ago, I thought there's only one that's going to be number one. I'll work my way back from that. So yeah. And if you now want to see something you never see on my channel, I will now take off this shrink wrap. This one's for you, Andy. So it breaks me heart to do this. It really does, because I'm one for not doing this. Shall I pull it down like that, or I'll just have to rip it because you'll not see me. I don't think you'll be able to hear this either, but it's done its job. There you go. Look at that. So should make that the thumbnail, shouldn't I? Oh, crying. There you go. So you can, and I will see this slipcover, and you will see this slipcover, like for the first time, really. But this has been on. This came in the box, and I just took the top off it, and it's kept this in pristine condition since the day I got it. So for that, it's done its job. But this now needs to go in a protective box, which I'll do now. So in my opinion, this is the best ever looking 4K of a video nasty, bar none. Looks sensational, doesn't it? But this shrink wrap has served me well for the past 3 or 4 years. So thank you, shrink wrap. Okay, so I've done that now. What I'll do is I'll quickly go through the ones that I haven't put into this top 10 list, and I will just show you what they are. I'll also talk about the ones that I haven't got, and actually I'm just going to add one mentally to that list. So the section 1 video nasties I've got in 4K are Cannibal Holocaust, excellent, from 88 movies. It looks great, 88 films, shall I say. It is slightly cut, but the animal scene is cut is like the one I kind of stand the most. I mean, they're all awful, so it doesn't really matter to me that much. But it's nice to see this in 4K. Also, this one, Cannibal Man. This is great. I love this movie. It's not. I wouldn't say it's the best of 4Ks. It's better than the Blu-ray, but unfortunately, it doesn't have the longer cut in here. So that's Cannibal Man. And also finishing off the section ones that I've got, and there's a couple that I haven't got, is Nightmares and Damaged Brain. Now, don't forget that most of these, if you want to know more about this, just look down below in my videos and you will find probably everything to do with these has been mentioned on my channel in some shape or form. So go mooching for them if you want to find them. Just obviously reviewed that one. So that's Nightmares, Damaged Brains. That's the section ones I've got. Now, the ones I haven't got is I Spit on Your Grave, which is meant to look great, and also The Burning. Now, I think The Burning, if I had The Burning on 4K, I think that would probably be in the top 10 because I've heard nothing but good things about that. I know the Blu-ray from Arrow looks absolutely sensational. So that one would be, and it's one of the best video nasties ever. It's one of the best horror movies ever. So number two, section 2, that I didn't mention on that one, is Dead and Buried. This is the one from Below Underground. It's absolutely brilliant. This one's grainy. That's what it lets it down. I think it was shot on the coast, so you get a lot of the sort of mist going through it. But it's great for what it used to look like. It used to look atrocious on pre-cert. But this one looks, it's one of those ones that's went in leaps and bounds. It still doesn't like have the wow factor. If you put this on, not knowing the history of this, you might think, well, that doesn't look that good. But when you know how bad this looked, this is the leaps and bounds. So you've got to kind of cut these movies a bit of slack as well when you go into them. Don't, like I say, don't go in and expect the latest blockbuster picture quality because you just won't get it. But you get something that looks sensational for what it is. That's Dead and Buried, and also the amazing The Evil Dead. This is shot in 16mm. So when it came out, they were saying, well, why would they even put this out on 4K? It's one of those ones, the first ones on 16mm that came out, and people thought that's a bit step too far. Got to say, I think it looks great. I think the colours on here and everything look, it does it justice. You do get that kind of, you do get the dark scenes as well. And this movie just comes to life just a little bit more on 4K. So that's The Evil Dead. So section threes, what about this one? Everybody forgets that this is a video nasty, a band video nasty, The Hills of Eyes. It's a 15. It was always a double A. It was never, but this has got some, it's got some things in here that are talked about that you think, wow, are they really going to go there? And yeah, so this is, and the thing that lets this down, I would say, is the grain structure. It's quite grainy. It does look the best it's ever looked, but it's not a huge amount above the Blu-ray. But it does look quite nice for what it is. But this movie would never look that good. But it's a welcome addition, actually. And I think the 4K on here is nice. And it's another one that I think, wow, this is on 4K. You know, it's a bit of a jaw dropper, really. Also, as well, and this is another one that sadly doesn't look. It looks much better than you would anything else has looked, but it's still got that element of being just that little bit low on the quality. So that's Martin. That's another section 3. This Sensei, one of the best packaging you ever see. Absolutely incredible. Still got the shrink wrap on the Wandy. It's a bit baggy, but it's top none for the minute. But yeah, so it's great. Like I say, these ones that I've talked about there, these are like the Zenith. And these ones here are great to have on 4K, and they do benefit in 4K. But unfortunately, the way that they were shot and the way that the prints are and everything, they cannot go past a certain quality unless they get some magic undiscovered print like they do. Sometimes they do that. I would love to see this in the full version that is out there, but they can't get the rights to it, unfortunately. It was supposed to be on here, but it never ended up in here. Chelloveck. But yeah, so this is another one it does let itself down a little bit in the quality, but it is a welcome 4K and it does look a lot better than it has done before. Also, as well, speaking of the same thing about this one, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Section 3 Banned Video Nasty. This is just this is just incredible. I think what Second Sight have done, they've taken a movie that's always looked a bit ropey, and they've got it to a point where they've done enough to it to get it to look absolutely amazing, but they haven't went too far. That was the best thing about this. They could have went just that extra yard and maybe destroyed the picture quality by softening it a bit and taking out the grain, but they didn't. They kept it true to itself, and this is a good, honest upgrade. But hats off to Second Sight. I don't know how they managed to get this looking so good without kind of tinkering with it too much. But I'm really glad that they stopped at a certain level and made this movie retain its like really grindhouse appearance. So that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And the last one in here is Zombie Holocaust. Now, Zombie Holocaust is always, to me, has always looked a little bit low in the quality. Every time you saw it, the price was atrocious. And even the DVDs and all that, they just weren't that good. But this one, for me, it really does look, it's one of the other ones where it looks the best it's ever looked. And I think the best it can looked the best it can look. So also, I'm going to mention, whoa, imagine that. Also, I'm going to mention that on the section twos, there's also the fun house as well. That could have been here because the fun house is meant to look absolutely superb. Also, possession by Second Sight. Now it's a section two. Now it's been talked about on Second Sight for quite a while, but it's never materialized yet. And also on section three, there's Friday the 13th. I have heard sort of conflicting reports about Friday the 13th, reckon it's not that good, and some people say it's pretty good. Also, there's another one I'm going to talk about that I just remembered is Blood for Dracula. That's out in 4K, but I don't know the 4K of that yet. But I do know that I think I have a Blu-ray of it. I know I haven't got a DVD. It looks pretty good, but the 4K is meant to be good on the Blu-ray. The 4K of Blood for Dracula. Also, Night of the Living Dead is a section three. Now that's on Criterion. I haven't got it. I've just got the Blu-ray because the Criterion doesn't have HDR in it. This movie to me needs to have HDR because it's like black and white, which will make the blacks come out better and stand out from the whites. And also with it being at night, it just will look that bit better with HDR. Sadly, it hasn't got it on. Hopefully, it'll come out sometime with HDR, and that'll be the pinnacle of that movie. And also, there is a bit talk maybe about Friday the 13th Part 2 coming out in 4K, but that hasn't materialized yet. It's just whispers. So, yeah, so that takes the tally to about 26. So, is there any more that you know are coming out, or any ones that I've just missed out? But I went through my list and I don't think I think I've included everything I've got anyway. And I hope that if you're looking at this, maybe with fresh eyes and you want to go at the 4K of Video Nasties, hopefully this has given you some tips maybe on where to go with that. And like I say, I can't, but do know that particularly, with movies like this, you're going to get an upgrade. You're going to get a good upgrade with probably great extras. But do know that these have got limitations. So always bear that in mind when you get them. Treat them with a little bit, like, to say, I'm not going to get Top Gun Maverick here, but I know I'm going to get the best version of this movie. And if you're into these movies, you will love to see them in this quality. So, thanks for watching, especially you, Andy, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.